Welcome everyone to the Rolldown, the show where we yap about everything about TFT esports, from the couch to the crown, from grassroots to the pro circuit. My name is CLE, and so glad to be joined by Tacticians Trials 2 winner, Gangley. Are you ready?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's been announced just about, I don't know, an hour ago. We'll talk about it more. All you need to know for now, though, is that I'm about to run it.
I mean, I have no doubt, especially with your performance in previous tournaments, so it'll be good.
Yeah, you think they hand out tied for second place in fight nights in set 2? You think you get that for free? No, I have. How many people have outplayed Solus in a tournament? Actually, I guess a lot.
A lot of people.
But I'm one of them. Add to the list.
Including each of the people below me, for sure. At one point, they've outplaced Solus. I guarantee that. Below me on our screen is Filup, who is, in a lot of people's opinion, the most underrated player in all of TPC, but most importantly has been chosen to be in a study group because they just needed a +1 for Valorant. Filup, welcome to the show.
So happy to be here. I just dropped a nuke in Valorant like yesterday, so yeah, it was a good choice.
Also on the show is one of the greatest. What do we say here? I had each of them write something about each other, and this is hilarious to me. The most consistent NA player of all time, most Worlds appearances, barely started the game in one mid-set, made Worlds a second set, perma rank 1, 6'7", 87-inch wingspan, recruited by University of Toronto, but turned it down. Oh, that's not true. Anyway, he got his driver's license 2 days ago, so congratulations, Wajan Iverson. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I love yapping about TFT, competitive TFT. So always happy to come on.
And you are
Congrats
incredibly
on
tall.
getting your license.
I am very tall at 6'7", as Filup said.
Absolutely. Today we're going to be covering a lot of things with our guests. It's fun to have some of our players from the TPC on the show. We're going to cover TFT headlines, hot takes, all the things happening in the TFT world. We're going to cover the Tacticians Cups that happened around the globe, the new B patch that just hit the scene, some TPC player rankings and predictions for the upcoming Cup. Guys, let's jump into it with some of our headlines from this week. And first and foremost, Gangley, what is this on the screen?
Yeah, if you're a podcast listener, you can't see what's on the screen. It is the thumbnail of my newest YouTube video. So I've been making these TFT video essays over the last year. Not really, not even the full year. Last 6 months, 8 months. And just released my third one. This is on the Draven Day patch back in set 9. So it was a lot of fun to put together. Also, shout out to Botox, who actually edited this piece for me. So I don't have a ton of experience working with other editors. I worked with an editor on the first video as well, but Botox did a great job putting this together. And yeah, I'm really proud of how it turned out. So go check it out. I've got a couple more on the horizon. I'm trying to figure out how to cater to the casual TFT audience to get them interested in the channel before I start dumping all the like competitive esports lore on them. But for now, I don't think the audience is there for it yet. It'll come though.
Maybe not quite yet, but this is a fantastic video. The link will be in the show notes, so if you want to watch that, it'll be in the description of this. Filup, what was your experience of Draven Day, and was it fun or was it traumatic for you?
I think I played one game and I took the day off. Went out, touched some grass, but I mean it was fun to watch. Because I know I had some friends playing on the day and like a Discord call, everybody was like screaming, playing defense. Yeah, I love the thumbnails of this video, by the way. It's so good.
Sure is. Another one of our headlines from this week is the announcement of Tacticians Trials 2, but specifically the new format with a fully open format, something that we had Sherman on in our last episode, and he talked a lot about. And now it's officially open. You can sign up now, and it is incredible. Gangley, you said you're going to win this thing. How is that going to happen?
I mean, I win by default because I'm entering. Listen, I'm, a veteran tri-state TFT online competitor. I'm a bit of an online warrior when it comes to TFT, No, but in all seriousness, Tactician Trials 2 is going to be a ton of fun. Jack, I think you're entering as well.
Yeah.
Filup and Wajan obviously are not because they're in the TPC already. But if you're watching this and you're interested in competitive TFT, this is your entryway. There's no rank requirement, hence why Jack and I are going to be entering this tournament. And it has on-demand firing pods, which means every 30 minutes a new tournament will be starting. I believe the earliest is going to be 4 p.m. Eastern, and the latest, I want to say, is 7:30 p.m. Eastern. So anytime between that window, every 30 minutes, a new tournament will launch. You play up to 5 games, and eliminations happen very quickly. So you have another chance to kind of rerun the tournament gauntlet if you get eliminated early on. So it should be a ton of fun. I'm a little nervous that like the games are going to be all over the place. Like someone might end up in a lobby where it's one challenger player and like 7 emerald players or something. I'm not exactly sure, but I know that you basically need to go like probably 2-2-2-2-2 to make it through to have a high enough score. So you're going to need a little bit of luck on your side, but it should be a ton of fun. I'm very excited. And I also have a ton of experience playing against emerald players. So this might actually be made for me.
Too much experience for Gangley. Weijin, as somebody who's won a lot of tournaments, what would you say for the players that are like, I'm going to try this tournament for the first time? It sounds like a ton of fun. What would you suggest to them as they prepare?
Yeah, honestly, just like go in to like have fun and like don't put like too much like expectations on yourself. I feel like one thing I definitely noticed for myself is I was like really nervous like the first few times I was playing tournaments, and then as I started to play like lots of tournaments like every month, like now I don't feel nervous at all. So yeah, the experience is like super valuable no matter like how it goes for you, and yeah, like don't be afraid to go and do it because it's really meant for like everyone.
It sure is meant for everyone. And another event that's made for everyone is the TFT Paris Open that is happening in December. The tickets went on sale, sold out after the Challenger cutoff, so some Masters and GMs players were able to get some, but the spectator passes are now on sale and are still currently being sold. I believe they're also getting released in waves, so it'll be available for a good long while. So if you want to be a part of the biggest party in TFT, you should buy a spectator pass. I have a spectator pass. I'm so excited. And Filup, Weijin, I know you guys are planning on competing. What are you guys most excited for this Open?
I think for me, and it's for all the opens, it's really just seeing all the friends that like you've made online or that you've studied with over the year, or even just like meeting like new TFT competitors. Especially, I think there's going to be a lot of European players attending this. But it's just so fun to put a face to that name, and I mean everybody's so nice in person. So I mean that's my favorite part of all these.
Yeah, I love just like seeing everyone. And Dihua was saying that we need to run some like study group like basketball, like study group versus study group. So hopefully that actually happens. I'd love for that to happen in Paris.
Wait, Weijin, from what I understand, you're actually very good at basketball, right? This is like not a joke. You're
not,
actually
not like
a beast.
not like very good, but I did play like on my high school team. But
Okay.
Gangley
never
beat
be like
you.
pro or like even close to that or anything like that.
Who else in your study group knows ball?
We actually have a lot of people that watch basketball play like a little bit less. Malal is like a good shooter, and then Basso is like a good like rebounder and like hustle guy. So
Yeah.
I haven't played
I
with
can
them
play
yet,
it.
so we'll see.
I don't think
I can
I don't think
definitely see
Showtime is
Pato
coming,
as a
right?
hustler.
Not a,
Showtime? I don't know.
Showtime always tells us about his illustrious high school basketball career where they doubled him at half court.
I think it was more like middle school, but yeah.
I absolutely love it. So much fun happens at these opens, whether that's basketball or obviously playing TFT, but also like the community events, the artist alley, the dev panels, show matches, being able to be in the same room as so many of the people you watch on stream or have looked up to for a long time. So it'll be a ton of fun. Another thing that was a ton of fun, and what we call the Tier 2 nowadays, because the TPC exists, is the Tacticians Cup. They happened around the globe this past weekend, and so we're going to spend some time talking a little bit about each of them. But first, let's talk about the home turf. The Americas Tacticians Cup. Dank Memes is the winner from the Americas, from NA, a player with a huge comeback story, having 2 Worlds Tacticians Cup appearances in a row, and now making it back to a regional finals after not making it last set. So super happy for him. There was a great clip of him being emotional about how well his performance ended up and all these things. But it wasn't just him that joined him at regionals. We have our full scoreboard. The top 8 made it all the way to regionals week 1, where ranked 9 and 10 are now in that regionals play-in that happens on Friday. So 10 people locking in their spots at the regional finals. Incredibly exciting already at this part of the set.
There's a handful of things that stood out to me like immediately when we saw the standings of the Cup 1. I mean, obviously you kind of highlighted the big picture stuff with Dank Memes, you know, an illustrious career in the short time that we've seen him, but there are a lot of like underdogs who I think kind of made their name through Cup and have qualified through the spot for regionals. Notably, Ariz, this is a Latin America South player who I'm not familiar with. I don't know if anyone else knows anything about this player, but Latin America has been the sub-region of the Americas that has just not really had their time in the sun since the merging of the regions. And then obviously Michael winning TPC #1, and now Josue deleted and Ariz getting into regionals means that this is, I'm pretty sure already, the regionals field that will have the most Latin American representation that we've had since, at least since Set 11. Obviously since Set 11, but just since the introduction of the merge. And the other thing is, outside of those kind of surprising wins of Ariz and Tropical, the field of players that qualified in feels really good, right? Like Kai Wang is someone that everybody has seen for over the last couple sets. Milala is someone who maybe took a bit of a step back after the incredible run of Set 10, but of course is like still a crazy threat. Every single player on this list, I'm not just going to name them, is someone who has at one point or another been a dominant threat in competitive TFT. So it's starting to look like even that first weekend of regionals is going to be pretty stacked. It's maybe a good time to hand it over to Filup and Weijin, because I don't know, you guys I know used to study with Milala. Is he still currently in your study group?
Yeah, for sure. We like study with him, watch with him all the time. I was personally watching this tournament very closely. I was like trying to just study a lot, learn a lot, because we thought this was going to be the same patch that we were playing our tournament on, which ended up not being the case. But yeah, I was rooting for Milala. I thought he played great. I thought Dank Memes played really great. Yeah, I watched a lot of the games. I think something that was kind of interesting that I noted was like Dank Memes, Kai Wang, Malala, and Me First or 8th were all like doing really well in the ladder snaps, and they were all like in a really good spot to make regionals through the ladder snaps. And like 3 of them ended up making regionals through this cup, so that opens up like some slots for maybe some other people to make it through ladder snaps. And yeah, also kind of just goes to show that like the people that are doing really well on ladder are also having some good tournament results.
I think one of the best runs, just to call out real quick, is Kiyun, who went 1-1 to get that 10th spot in qualified regionals already. I mean, just an absolute clutch performance. I remember watching his game. I think Frodan was watching him closely, because it was just a fun story. So 1-1 to get that 10th slot. Kiyun is back at regionals, so that'll be a fun thing to watch as well.
Is this the first time since Set 10 that Kiyun is back at regionals? Has he been to regionals since then?
I don't know off the top of my head on that one. Sorry.
Yeah. I think it might be the first time since then. And from what I remember, Set 10 Kiyun was a wild set because he kind of reimagined his entire career that set. It was the first time he ever truly dominated the competitive scene. I think he had the highest top 4 rate. It was like 72% over like 60 or 70 games in competitive in Set 10. So feels good to have Kiyun back, making another appearance for the old guard at TFT. But it wasn't just the Americas. We got other regions I know we're going to be covering here, Jack. So EMEA, we'll just kind of quickly run through this, but Yobadashi taking the win there for the EMEA region. Player I'm not familiar with. I'm pretty sure I speak for everyone here, where none of us are super knowledgeable on who this is. But there are some big names on the list here as well.
Yeah, Yobadashi has made a regionals previously, but now has a tournament win under his belt here. Losher obviously is one of the most up-and-coming players, and one of the best German players right now, and Klimu as well is not a surprise up there. One thing I do want to call out just real quickly about the EMEA rosters now, 4 Turkish players have qualified for their regional finals, which is incredible. A very similar like situation if you follow the Americas to something like LATAM, where they got some slots and performed pretty well. Like somebody like Darkest, who you see up here, has made the Tacticians crown a bunch of times. But now they have 4 out of the 10 people that qualified through this. Being Turkish is quite fun. So excited to see.
Klikorinen is Turkish as well, right? Klikorinen?
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
So they performed.
That's already a lot of representation going into the regionals field.
Yeah, no doubt. And we'll just keep moving to cover the rest of these Tacticians Cups. Also in APAC, we had Sunny Side Up able to win the Tacticians Cup 1. I don't know a ton of names from this list, if I'm completely honest with you. I'm not an APAC expert, but I do know Kade, and him being from, past sets, had some good success at the Tacticians Crown as well, and already making it back to regionals through Tacticians Cup.
I don't know if you guys saw this. I'm trying to verify what it is I'm about to say. I'm pretty sure that Broseph was coaching Sunny Side Up.
I did see that as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to see. Oh, here we go. Broseph says in a tweet retweeting the APAC result, incredibly proud, well done. He won't believe himself, but he went from never playing in a cup to winning the entire region of APAC.
Wow.
I mean, in the cup, not TPC obviously, but still. We prepped 2 hours a week throughout the set and 10 hours this week. Truly beast it out today. Well done. OSS strong. So yeah, I mean, another notch in the. If anyone's not familiar with Broseph and you're listening to this podcast, he's another player that's in the TPC right now and has been quoted by many to be a fantastic coach, and now has some testimonials he can throw up on whatever Discord he does that through. So yeah, congrats to Sunny Side Up and I guess to Broseph, because that's a win for him as well.
Absolutely. And let's get into why we have these guys here. These guys are both in the TFT Pro Circuit. They're both are playing as in the Tier 1, and we did have a TPC event happen already. The Battle Academia Cup commenced, and these guys both played, and we want to review this a little bit, talk about what happened at the TPC, and then be able to reflect and look forward towards TPC 2. So real quick, I'm going to pull up the scoreboard, and I know that maybe you guys maybe didn't have the performances you might have wanted to, but how did you feel about the TPC format and your guys' results in that? We'll start with Filup.
Yeah, I mean, obviously not super happy with how I personally performed, but I think the format is a lot of fun. Every tournament, I think before, especially, if you're playing in the trials, but even like day 1, day 2 of the cup, sometimes some of the games sort of feel like throwaways, or it's like, if you do badly, it reflects badly on you, but like doing well is sort of expected. Here, every game is a challenge. Every one of these players is very qualified, really strong competitions, and it really just feels like a regionals every cup. So, not super happy with how I did last time, but hoping I can do better this time.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I was a little bit disappointed with my performance, but I do really like this format. It's very like similar to the Worlds format, where there's like one cut at the end of day 1, and then there's kind of like gradual cuts during day 2, and then there's like a final checkmate lobby. I think every game really matters, where in the old format we would have like a lot of meaningless games. Even every placement in the cup actually matters, because you get like points which will help you qualify to maybe like a later day in regionals. So yeah, every single placement, every single game really feels like it matters. And I think that makes it a lot more exciting to play and watch him as well. So I'm a big fan of the format so far.
I just want to know, when you guys finished your games on the day, did you feel like you left some points on the table, or do you feel like you just kind of, because each of you, can we go back, Jack? I think it was 23rd for Filup and 26th for Wajan. So obviously, these are placements below what each of you would normally expect yourselves at these events. How much of this do you think was variance, and how much do you think was underperformance?
At the time, I think I felt like I got quite unlucky. Maybe looking back on it now, there was definitely like more I could have done. I think a little bit of a funny story, although maybe it wasn't so funny at the time, was that we were like doing a VOD review where like someone took Radiant Relics on 2-1, and Radiant Crown Guard was one of the options, and Boss's Skills was like telling us all about how broken Radiant Crown Guard is on Rakan, and how like even though we have no Xayah, Rakans, the opponents, whatever, like you have to take it and force it because it's so like broken in the stats. And like I didn't really double check that at all. I just believed him. So I played like a Radiant Crown Guard Rakan in my game, and then later when I checked the stats, like during the game I realized it was because of Exalted Adventure. Like there's a cash out that gives Radiant Crown Guard.
Oh,
So yeah, I got like tricked pretty hard into I think I won like 7th that game or something, which was kind of bad. But no, it's like kind of my fault, because I definitely should have double checked myself.
And Wajan, I remember that your last game where you were really close. I think you went second. You're playing this crazy game with Crystal Gambit, and you faced Fishbones, Kaisa, and that one just felt super unlucky. And if you went second, if you would have went first, you would have made day 2, I believe, or been on a tiebreaker. It was, I mean, that one felt like unlucky for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I remember being like insanely capped that game, like level 10, like full 2-star 5 costs, and I just can't do anything against like official and Skysa. Just like insta killing my backline.
All right, Philip, you're up.
Yeah, I mean, I think in pretty much every single tournament I've ever played, even if I like don't really think it's my fault, like immediately after, because like in the heat of the moment, I mean, people usually do get unlucky, and you can like focus on the unluckiness. But I think there's always placements you could have saved. And I think this is something like I learned a lot from like reviewing, especially like Wation and like other one I study group as well, is like you leave so many placements on the table every single game, whether it's like, oh, like this turn I like didn't get a unit in, or like didn't, roll as deep as I should have, lost a life, that's probably like a placement right there. Like incorrect augments, incorrect positioning, just all the small things add up. And I think like I mean, even outside of those, I made like a lot of like bad line selections, and gonna shore that up for sure. But I think just in general, uh, every player that doesn't make it, while they're getting unlucky, can usually uh have done better. There's not really any unplayable spots in TFT normally.
I think one of the big things about the TPC format and the idea of TPC was, hey, you guys have done well in TFT. Last set, obviously, you guys were both in the regional finals, and one of the goals was to give you guys a quote unquote break from the grind. Do you guys think that this format has been successful in making that possible? Obviously, because you guys have already qualified for the regional finals, and so you don't have to do all the ladder grinding. But do you think that this is going to be long term? Like, I feel like I've been rewarded for my hard work being in the TPC.
Yeah, I can go first. Like, I definitely do feel like I've been rewarded. I remember, like, I think it was last set. I was like still like doing like an internship, like full-time work, and there was like a ladder snapshot like 2 weeks after the set released, and I basically had to play like some insane amount of TFT while like sacrificing sleep to like make sure that I was able to like make the ladder snapshot, to like go to the cup and stuff. And yeah, now like I was playing like tons at the start of the set, streaming a lot and like playing box boot camp, but that was like really my choice. It wasn't because like I felt like I was like totally forced to. And yeah, I think just like also the prize pools of the cups going up, like it feels like a lot more meaningful to the competitors, and like a lot more like something to look forward to. Like before, people would call them like Mickey Mouse cups and stuff a lot, and like a lot of people, if they're like already guaranteed regionals, they're just like not play the cup or whatever. But yeah, now it feels like everyone's trying like every single cup, and like these cups are like really more of like what to look forward to. So yeah.
For sure, I'd echo everything Vision just said. I also think that it's nice having less of an obligation to play ladder. Just because I think that's where a lot of the burnout in TFT comes from. Is like, you're playing all these ladder games versus, um maybe, like I don't know how to say this, like players who like don't care as much, or like, it doesn't really matter for them. Maybe like not the level of competition that you're hoping for. So, and I think another effect of this is actually, and this is something that's been going up over time as well, is there's been more in-house scrims, more of those like tier one lobbies. I know there's people are setting up scrim blocks pretty much every single day. Um and playing in those is a lot of fun, just going up against like high level competition and being able to practice that way. So I mean, we've been doing more of those, which sort of is like more practice for us, but it's a lot more enjoyable than just, grinding out your ladder games.
So coming out of the first cup, Michael won the entire event. And something that is new to TPC is that Checkmate is the determining factor on day 3, right? This thing that in the past has been kind of reserved for larger events, and now TPC is kind of taking up that spot. And there was a lot of controversy online, a lot of discussion about the place of Checkmate in these sort of events. And I know a lot of people talked about Darth and how he had this insane performance over the weekend, and yet he wasn't the one that actually qualified to the set championship because of it. And so we kind of wanted to open it up to you two, because we've heard a lot of like the community, all the loudmouths on Twitter and Reddit of what they feel about Checkmate, but the two of you were actually there and watching and a part of the TPC. So we'd like to hear how you feel about Checkmate in TPC and it being a primary qualification method into set champs. So Philip, why don't you start this time?
I think Checkmate is essential to like the lifeblood of TFT. It's not a truly like purely competitive format. But I think the main thing to consider is TFT esports needs narrative. It needs people to watch. It needs stakes. It needs hype. Nobody's hyped up when you're guaranteed going into game 6. You already won the cup. You know, you're showing up. Doesn't matter. Everybody knows. That's not fun for people to watch. Checkmate is really fun for people to watch. I think we all saw it in, you know, like set 10 Vegas. We saw it like in the last cup. You see it over and over again. You know, even people are discussing it. You know, even if they're unhappy, I mean, people are talking about it. But I think Nature's also has a really interesting stat on Checkmate. I don't know the exact specifics of it, but basically people have this perceived notion that, oh, Checkmate is bad because, you know, a person can be in dead last, go first once, and win the entire series. That never actually really happens in Checkmate, or at least it hasn't historically in TFT. The the winners in all Checkmate formats so far, except for like 2, I think, have been in like the top 3 in terms of points as well. So I think it's sort of like a false complaint that people are bringing up right now. Again, like I do agree in that it's a little bit uncompetitive, but I think it's too important for the esport.
Yeah, I think my thoughts are like very similar to Filup. Like as a competitor, like I don't really like playing Checkmate, and it feels like it somewhat goes like against like what TFT is about, which is kind of about like, you know, like maximizing your like average placements and stuff. But yeah, I understand that like at the end of the day, like really the most important thing in an esport is like how much the viewers are like enjoying it and how much like viewer hype there is. And Checkmate definitely seems to do that. I see people like say that they like, oh, they loved watching like the Battle Academia Cup. It's like much more memorable than any of the previous cups because of like the final day Checkmate and stuff. And I think one thing that they're doing that's really good is that like I'm not 100% sure on this, so I could be wrong, but my understanding was that like Darth Nub actually got like more points than like people who placed ahead of him. And by points I mean like points to make it to a further stage of regionals. Because he did better than them in the group stage. So yeah, I remember like seeing that on Wikipedia and like yeah, so even though he didn't like he got like a lower placement than some people, maybe he got like more points, which will help him, you know, do qualify to a further stage of regionals and have like a better chance of making worlds. I'm pretty sure about that, although I could be wrong.
Oh,
Yeah, that's right.
I
You
didn't realize that.
you get points both from your day 1 and 2 placement and your
Yeah.
and your final lobby placement.
Yeah, there's like a snapshot at the end of day 2 where those points kind of get locked a little bit, and then you get points on top of it for how you do in the final day, which I think is pretty neat because then it actually happens after with the format. Like there's a group of 4 players that don't play the final game, and so you'll see like even on this snapshot that like the points get a little bit wonky because you might get more points. Like Michael has more points than Darth does on our screenshot. Michael finished with 69. Darth finished with 62, but that's because he played another game, right? Like so, there's a snapshot there to lock those in, and so that makes a lot of sense. I'm glad they thought about those things before they went into the TPC and the format, and I think the team is just absolutely cooking. And I think Natures and Sherman and Dylan and the whole team are really doing a great job making a fun format to watch and feel rewarding to play. One of the most interesting things about the TPC, though, is the prize pool, right? It's more consistent, more spread out. But I think one of the fun things that we don't talk about very much is we see at the bottom right of this graphic, per first place in games, bonus $100. Do you guys think about this at all when you play?
Well, I think they're legally not allowed to say if it matters to them or not, right?
Oh, right. No 3-star 5 costs.
We saw what happened to this in another region. It's not allowed to cross their mind.
There was a joke in our study group because like looking at my placement distributions over the last set, this is like by far my like biggest like first or eight set, or at least it was like going into the first cup that I was just optimizing for my $100. But I think for most players it's sort of like a nice little bonus, but I mean you're just trying to take your highest average placement every game anyway, you know, like I mean I don't really think TFT players are in it for the money, honestly, or you know, you might be doing something else.
Yeah, I think like the vast majority of tier 1 players are like way more motivated by like qualifying to worlds, making like a further stage of regionals, those kinds of incentives than like actual like the monetary incentives. Like of course it's nice and you know it helps you like justify like putting so much time and effort into TFT. But yeah, I think most of us are really just playing for that like Tacticians crown qualification, and we're just trying to maximize our like average placements to, you know, like make the final lobby and give ourselves a chance in Checkmate.
I do want to just circle back real quick because Filup, I don't know if you know this because you're saying like you guys are making this joke that you're optimizing for the bonus because you're the most first wraith. that's not like a this set thing. Like, do you know that you are historically among anyone in the regionals field that's like a consistent contender in regionals? You are the most first or eighth player that actually you're the only player that every single set qualifies as a truly first or eighth style player, because you have had over 12.5% first and eighth rate. And I want to say maybe there might be one set, but pretty much every set since I have started tracking your stats.
I actually didn't know that. That's a little bit surprising for me to hear, but actually once I think about it, it's not that surprising. I'm like a low-key emotional player, so yeah, I'm in it tracks.
TPC 1, I think we've done enough coverage of that, though, Jack. I think it's a good time to start talking about the next cup, which is the Soul Fighter Cup. And Sherman talked about in our interview that we had done with him. We did that last week, if you haven't already watched that. But they were saying how they want every cup in the TPC to feel different. And so the first iteration of what that looks like is that we're going to have an Americas versus EMEA and then APAC versus CN TPC event. And so we have EMEA players playing in our tournament, and we have America players playing in the EMEA event. And each region essentially has an opportunity to steal a slot, steal a slot from the other region at the set championship. Filup and Wajan, I think you guys are both in the same cup, right?
Yeah,
you guys are both in the EMEA one?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's dig into this a little bit. Is there maybe a good place to start is like, what does this feel like for you guys? Is there anyone you're most excited to actually compete against in this EMEA tournament?
Well, this feels like great to me. I'm like very excited to play against like a different set of people. And I think one thing that this like actually like kind of promoted, which is cool, is that like I feel like I'm like talking to like some people in the Americas Cup, like Prestovant, for example. Like before, I don't feel like I would like share any tech with them, but because now I'm not competing like directly against each other like him, we were actually like talking a bit about like the game and stuff, and he was like reaching out to me, and like, I didn't feel weird about like telling him, oh, I think this is good, because like we're not actually competing directly against each other. So yeah, I think this is like some interesting like collaboration is happening because of this. And yeah, I'm not sure what the viewers think, but as a competitor, I'm like super hyped for it, and I think it's like a great like twist on like a typical cup to make it feel different.
Oh yeah, I'm looking forward to it too, but I'm kind of mad. Like I feel like we sent the NA Avengers to the EMEA Cup, and like I don't want to be with the NA Avengers. But yeah, I'm actually especially looking forward to playing versus the EU players. I mean, it's not like an opportunity we get very often, and in the tier 1 scrims, I feel like the EU players are always like shit talking, and like if you like contest them, they'll thing you or like emote you. So you know, I'm just hoping I can like get them back for that.
I feel like the Avengers is a good way to say it. I feel like we're playing capture the flag, and then I feel like both of them are going to go steal each other's flag and then run back, and they're like, well, like, nothing really happened, because we're sending, like, I feel like a lot of America's best over to EMEA, and then EMEA's sending a lot of their best over to the Americas. And how is it going to feel to be like, I'm going to steal their slot because I went over there and took it? Because one of you guys are going to win this tournament, right?
I hope so. I hope it's one of us.
How's that gonna feel?
Yeah.
How's that gonna feel when you steal a slot from them rather than being like, I earned this in my own?
Jack
I think
trying
it'll
to
be,
make villains right now.
No, I mean, it's gonna be a really fun like final lobby viewing experience, I think, for the tier 1 players, especially because you know, I mean, there's always regional pride, but it's at another level, right? I mean, like everybody needs that extra world slot, so I think it'll be a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, I think this is also like the biggest scale, like NA versus EMA. Like, of course, at Worlds we have like some like 6 players, 7 players to see like which region is stronger. But like, I feel like this is like really a good measure of like which region is stronger between like Americas and EMEA. And honestly, I'm not too sure myself which one's stronger.
Also, you guys are talking about sending the NA Avengers. It's like, okay, so who do we got going over? We got Cam going over to the EMEA one. We got Milk. We got Setsuko. We got Dish Soap. We got Filup. We got Wajan. We got Replay. We got Greya. We're leaving Dahua at home. You think Dahua's gonna lose to the Europeans, man? There's no way. We got Dahua and Pakigam defending the gold. There's absolutely no chance EU takes a spot from the Americas. It is worth noting that the Soul Fighter Cup is going to be played on a B patch. We alluded to that earlier. I know Wajan and Filup, you guys both said that you were watching Cup number 1 primarily because you thought you would be playing on that same patch. Last night, they released a B patch and touched. Actually, I was kind of surprised how many changes came in the B patch, because I know the general goal here was to promote more forecast play, to reduce the amount of like, okay, on 2-1, I'm going to pick my 2-cost reroll line and lock it in from there. Whatever happens. But at least for me personally, and I'll throw this to Filup and Wajan after, is like, this feels like a pretty large meta shakeup to have just 4 days before the patch. I don't know which one of you guys wants to go first, but I'm curious to hear your experience in learning the new B patch.
Yeah, I don't mind going first. It does feel like a big meta shakeup. I played about like 10 scrims this morning. That was my first games on the B patch, and it definitely felt much more like forecast centric. Karma seems to be very back. She was like very dead before. Like some of the rerolls feel like way worse. Malzahar's way worse without Shadow Clone. Kaisa got like a big like 10% damage nerf. So it feels like there's like a really big meta shakeup, and yeah, with only like 3 days before the tournament, it really is like a time to like lock in and like get a lot of like reps in and get a lot of studying. And so I know I'm going to be putting in like a lot of effort over the next few days to learn the new patch.
For sure, it's absolutely massive, and I think I think from like a casual point of view, it's like sort of hard to understand. Like it's not just that like you can't touch like certain comps anymore, or you can't ankle into them. The entire like tempo of the game shifts, right? Especially in like a shift like this where we're they're sort of leading it away from like a very reroll heavy patch. Like Malzahar, Jin, Kaisa, fan service. Before, if you were trying to play like level 8, you were taking like a lot of taxes on like stage 3 to these comps. You had to like make sure you were in a spot to like spike stage 4 immediately. And so just like the lobby tempo is being shifted on that. Like everybody has to make really big changes to their game plan. So I'm with Weishin. I'm gonna try to steal his homework. And we're both gonna hopefully figure this one out.
Aren't we all just trying to steal Wajan's homework? That's why we'll watch his stream and watch his VODs and study them and all the things. Anyway, it's a great time. One thing I want to talk about real quick as we talk about this set when it comes to competitive is the effect that the Powerup Fruits really have on the way the game is played. This patch, Socialite was removed, which I feel like changes the way that this patch is played a lot. So how do you feel like the impact of Powerup Fruits is now changing with the B patch, but also just is providing a lot of discovery when it comes to being competitive?
I think I have a lot of frustration around Powerup Fruits myself, from a competitive standpoint. I think Socialite is sort of one example of a bigger issue where I think right now in its current state, fruits aren't really flexible enough. Most champions in the game really only want like 1 or 2 fruits. And you're basically, like fishing for exactly those in all of your use cases. There's not really like that much flexibility in them. I think I was actually listening to something Broseph said, which like made a lot of sense, which is like that. I mean, this sounds like a little bit dumb, but the champions do different things. How can the fruits be the same? Like Bullet Hell on Yumi, who does 100% of her damage with projectiles, is always going to be different than Bullet Hell on Kaisa, who is split like auto attacking, and like her ability. How can those fruits be the exact same? So I haven't been super happy with the mechanics so far this set. It's had its highs, but for me, it's mostly missed. But hopefully they'll find ways to amend the rest of the set.
I'll just say, like, yeah, I kind of agree. Like, Fruits has not been my favorite mechanic. It does feel like it's getting better, like more intuitive. I find like the balance has definitely been like mostly directionally correct. I think moving Socialite is good. Like fruits are going to be more intuitive. If you have a Lee Sin 2 on your Rise board, you can fruit your Lee Sin instead of your Aatrox. Like, so yeah, I think like directionally it's been good. It's just there's like so many fruits that I feel like even by the end of the set, it's going to be really hard to get like balance perfect.
I feel like fruits in a way have kind of introduced the same sort of problem that people have with artifacts in general, which is like units need to be balanced to their highest potential. And when you have very niche cases that completely warp how strong a unit is, it makes it feel pretty bad. And I think that, this could open up a whole can of worms around all the conversation about flex play and TFT being dead and how, things need to be played within very specific lines because you cannot seamlessly flow from one part of the game to the other. I think the reality is like TFT has become very, very complicated, and people have become a lot better at the game, and people have become more devoted to solving what is optimal on any set any given unit. And I feel like power-ups have really put that in the limelight and have made that a bit more obvious this set. So I think I personally am in agreement with what the two of you are bringing up. Things like socialites seem to have been pretty problematic, and I don't necessarily think that this by itself solves the problems that a lot of people are feeling, but I think there is hope. One thing that is very obvious about this B patch in particular, though, is that it is a good time to have a study group because there's a lot of changes. The meta is clearly shifting, and a lot of people have their own questions about what it is that you actually need to play and what do you need to prepare going into the weekend. And so we wanted to take Filup and Weijin and talk to you guys about what a study group in TFT is, what it looks like, how it actually helps you. And actually, I think honestly the best way is just to kind of like give us a rundown of how someone could make, like, what would you expect. What should someone expect a study group to do for them? Can you maybe give us a little bit of the innards of what your study group together has looked like?
Yeah, I can talk about like maybe like an average day. Well, an average day for a study group is probably just like 5, 6 people in the call. Maybe like one or two of them are streaming their game, and you can just like join. You can just play your own game, like watch and queue, or you can just like backseat someone. Like people who are streaming are usually like very open to being like just like backseated and like talking about their decisions. And yeah, usually closer to tournament time, that's when we would actually go into do some VOD reviews. Like an average day probably wouldn't really have too much VOD reviewing. But yeah, closer to tournaments, we would like VOD review scrims that we played. After tournament days, we definitely VOD review like all of the crucial tournament games that we played. And just what we're getting out of it is like probably like a consolidated meta read. Like you're not really able to try, every single line like to its like full extent, so you can ask people like how strong lines are. And especially a lot of like niche stuff. Like maybe someone will play something like super niche and be like, "Oh, this is super strong," and you wouldn't know about that niche thing, except for the fact that they told you it's like super strong. Um, and yeah, also yeah, just sharing meta reads and stuff like that, I would say is like a big thing.
Yeah, I'd echo everything Weijin said. I mean, also it's just like a group of friends you have that play the
Yeah.
game, which makes it easier to engage. I think it would be very easy to burn out on the game if I wasn't, if I didn't have such a great study group. You can just talk to people, bounce ideas off of them. Or honestly, I mean, like most of our conversations aren't even about TFT. I think like we talked about before we play Valorant, we play League. We sort of just hang out. It's it can get boring if you're just playing solo queue by yourself all day. So I think for me that's like a really big part is just like the social aspect of it.
And I think for those who are listening, oftentimes people are like, I want to get into a study group. How do I get into a study group? Well, I want to be in your study group. It's like, and I would encourage those people to be like, hey, understood, you want to be in this high level study group. And I think a lot of these things are more formed around friendship than it is just about TFT. I think the longevity in TFT, especially with how competitive TFT is and how much it changes, is more around, do you enjoy the people and can get honest feedback from them and VOD review together, rather than I just want the tech. And so for those who are listening to this and say, hey, I want a study group, find a group of friends that like TFT and want to be better and want to learn and that you enjoy, and you'll have a great time. You'll enjoy climbing. And I think so many of those are popping up all over the place. I think Dank Memes was talking about this when he was getting interviewed. There's like the kitchen's like 30 people now, and they're way less of a study group and way more about fun, which is just more of what games are made for rather than taking it super, super serious. So
Yeah.
Excited about the future of other TFT study groups.
Man, it is just so encouraging to know that the reason that I wasn't invited to Weijin Iverson's study group isn't because I'm not good at the game. It's because he doesn't like me. And now
right.
I get it. That I can sleep well at night. Sorry, Filup, to cut you off. That was a dumb joke. Go on.
Oh, no worries. I think as for that as well, something I'll really plug is like the lands, like Gangley hosts the what do we call it? Are we still TC?
We're TC. We're now Tri-State Championship.
Yeah,
We're Tacticians Crown.
Gangley hosts like the in-person like Tri-State Championship. I know Toronto TFT does events. I know, Midwest TFT did an event, but these in-person like tournaments are a really great place to go meet people, make friends, and just like talk to other TFT players. I yeah, I mean, again, it's not just about like, oh, I need to like, steal tech from people. It's really just like, oh, like make friends with people, and like the tech will come.
Yeah, I absolutely love it. I think that these study groups and having tons of fun in TFT is the big point of playing games and playing games online and finding groups. So if you're looking to do that, go ahead, just start one. Be the founder of a study group. It's way more fun that way. It'll be a great time. And speaking of the founder of things, we have the founder of the spiciest thing to hit the internet right before TPCs. Filup has started creating rankings, self-rankings by the competitors in the TPC. First, I just want to ask you, how does this process work, and who do you want to call out that doesn't respond to you ever?
So, basically before the last two cups, I've sent a Discord DM to every tier 1 America's player that just is like, hey, here's like a forum, please if you want to just rank the top 10 players in the Americas, and then I take that data and I sort it into our power rankings for each cup. It's something that I really enjoyed, the old DTIYDK power rankings from Froden's podcast back in the day, even like before I was a competitive player, and it's something I was sort of felt was missing for a few sets. So I thought, like, now that we have a consolidated group of players, it's something easier to do. I wish more people would respond. I think we had like 13 responses this time. I think we had like 19 last time, which is like not bad. But like TFT players, I'm happy I got 13.
Let's reveal these rankings then for TPC 2. Going into it from the Americas, we have our Soul Fighter Cup America's Power Rankings, and we have number 1 on the call. Weijin, did you vote yourself number 1, and how do you feel about being number 1?
Actually, I forgot to fill out the power ranking this time because I was too busy studying for my driver's test. But I'm very happy and honored to be number 1. I had like a pretty poor cup, so I'm not really sure that I was like expecting this after doing pretty poorly in the Battle Academia Cup. But I am very honored. I would also like to highlight like some of the people that got added and I think are like super deserving, like Michael and Darth. Like both had like amazing performance in the Battle Academia Cup, and I'm glad like people really recognize that and like took that into account on their ballots.
I have a lot of questions here, and I'm trying to be conscious of time, so I have to choose carefully. I want to dig into something on this list. I think we should talk about Darth for a moment. So the two of you, he's active, he's in your study group, right? I know when I joined you guys, he was always there. Yeah. So I don't know if you guys have listened to this podcast before, but going into the first TPC, I was a little down on Darth. I had said that Darth is a player that he's shown some really high highs. He's also shown some really low lows. And I personally have always had a hard time ranking him as one of the most elite in the Americas. To me, it's hard to ignore when a player has multiple poor performances. Granted, he's competed for a long time, so there's a lot of tournaments to play in. How do you guys feel about Darth his standing in the Americas? Do you think 7th is a pretty accurate descriptor?
I respect Darth Nub a lot, actually more than most of the members of our study group, because all of them trick me. Darth Nub actually doesn't trick me that much. That's basically how I rank them. We have a lot of tricky guys in our study group. So I think it's deserved. When Darth is on, he's on. I don't know if he's not been locked in for the sets before or whatever, but he's here now. Really smart guy. I think like we as a collective have learned so much just from asking him like how TFT works. He really has like a good understanding of like the numbers. Really great player. Would expect to see him keep doing well. And he's done well before, right? Like he almost made Worlds set 9.
Yeah, one thing I would say about Darth Nub is that he probably has like more fun in tournament than like anyone else in the entire field. Like sometimes we just ask him why he did something and like a bot review, he's like, oh, it seems like kind of fun. Like he'll just like play like super like interesting lines just because they seem like fun to him. So yeah, like like he takes the tournament seriously, but you know, he doesn't like lose track of just like, you know, it's like a game and like we're having fun, and he might have actually contributed more to our study group than like anyone else because he built like literally like a calculator where you can put in like a unit and like all the items and the power ups and the traits and like everything, and it will tell you like what the best like power ups, items, whatever are. So yeah, he could like probably like sell that for a lot of money, but yeah, we just use it and it's like actually like really really useful.
Holy, Tacticians Trials is coming up. I got to hit up Darth for this. You know, you guys let me in. Let me in for one more study group. Give me one session with you guys so we can run the gauntlet. Jack, is there anyone that stands out to you that you want to talk about while we have Filup and Wasian here?
Yeah, I think Michael is getting the recognition that he deserves, but I think one person I want to talk about that had a great showing in TPC 1 and is now on this list, and sometimes goes maybe to influencer mode, but when he's locked in, he is locked in. K3 Soju making it onto this list. What do you think makes the difference in him being the influencer slot player versus I'm in the final lobby of this tournament type player?
Honestly, I have no clue. Like, sometimes Soju just turns it on, like, you get, like, EWC Soju, and, like, you're hella scared. And then sometimes you tune into Soju's stream, and he's been live for, like, 40 hours, and he's just, like, 100 gold, like, level 8, like, not enough gold to go level 9, 1 life, AFK, like, you can only see the tip of his hair. So, I mean, honestly, I don't know. I think it's just, like, how invested he is, how into, like, the patch he is. But, I mean, when he's good, he's good. I don't think anyone's denying that.
From what I've seen about Soju, like he's like he plays very different in tournament than on ladder, and in tournament he's like very good at like piloting forecasts to like safe top fours. So in that respect, I feel like the Battle Academia Cup meta was like really great for him because it was like very forecast centric, and there was a lot of like very consistent comps that like don't win a lot, like Star Guardians, Prodigies. So I feel like he was just able to like play those comps a lot and just like top four very consistently. And I think this Soul Fighter Cup, like post B patch, it does seem to be a lot more like forecast centric than like the A patch. So I think that could also be like a really good thing for him.
Oh, for sure. I just want to add on, like, emphasize a point, which is like Soju was really, really good at Star Guardians, I thought, in Cup 1, and I think it sort of fits like an archetype, that like of comps that Soju has been good on going back to like Guild Zaya. So like, I mean, I think it's interesting, and like Wasian said, it's definitely a good meta for that.
Yeah, just to, I guess to like verify that, I don't have the exact number with me. I'd have to look at my sheets, but Soju it's exactly what you said, Wasian. Like if you look at Soju on stream and even just like his lol chess stats and compare them with his historical tournament data, it's two completely different stories. He's probably one of the lowest win rate players in tournament in North America, and also one of the lowest 8th place. I would even say just lowest bottom 2 placements in competitive in North America. He is like the quintessential middle placement North American player. And even when he made it to Worlds back in, what was that, 7? That was off the, you guys might need to help me remember the dragon, the purplish dragon, the purplish blackish one.
Siphon?
I was like,
Siphon. Yeah. It was all the
right.
Yeah.
He played a ton of that like melee carry dragon stuff that was really good at, you play from ahead, you play tempo. It was kind of hard to cap out. I don't really think that he got very many wins on that entire run, but he and Prestivan had this like huge Bloodthirster BT line that I think they had kind of stolen from Asa or Sox or something. That's like a whole nother thing. But I think that's like the way he made it to Worlds. He did it in the tournament Soju way. And so it's cool that that's like the things you guys have observed just from like watching him and playing against him, because the stats do back up exactly what it is that you're describing, Wasian.
Something I do want to highlight, by the way, really quick, is like the last new name on this list that we haven't really touched on is Bobster, who I'd actually think is underrated again. But I mean, like, Bobster is one of the most consistent performers in NA. Like, another final lobby has 2 worlds. Just had a great run these last few sets. So I mean, I'm happy he's on the list. I was sort of surprised he was on the last time. I think he could even like potentially go up a few slots. But yeah, I mean, I feel like he's often overlooked, so I wanted to make sure he wasn't this time.
Listen, I am one of the biggest Bobster defenders, and me and Gangley fought about this in our first episode of the podcast, because going into this tournament and into the TPC, he was just like ranked probably middle of the pack for people, even though he won the previous tournament where all of you guys had played together at regionals, and now top 8 again. There's no reason he shouldn't be on this list, and there's probably no reason he shouldn't be higher on this list if I'm being completely honest. But I think Bobster absolutely deserves to be more in the spotlight and continues to be consistent, and so at some point he's not going to be able to be denied.
I just want to defend myself and say that on the episode when we talked about it, I was saying that one tournament is not enough for me. Like, obviously Bobster has done well. He had a really good regular season in set 11 or set 12, I think it was, but he did perform poorly at multiple set championships, and I don't think we can just ignore it. The fact that he won the last regional finals, now getting top 8 of the first TPC, I am officially ready to be on the Bobster train. This is not me being a hypocrite. This is me setting my criteria, and now that the criteria has been fulfilled, I am happy to see that Bobster's on this list. I would expect him to continue this performance, continuing into set 15, but I'm not a hypocrite. I'm just a believer now. This is character growth.
Welcome aboard, Nick. It's good to have you. Weijin, what are your thoughts on Bobster and his play style and his performance in the last cup?
Yeah, I thought he played like, especially in the group stage of the last cup, he played like really, really well. I think he plays like not like too standard. Like he does like a lot of augment choices and like line choices that like I guess like traditional people wouldn't do. Like I remember he was playing some like Lux reroll in the last cup against me and did like super well on it, and I don't think that was like a line that like anyone was playing. So yeah, I feel like he's able to have like a lot of success playing like not like the most standard TFT, which is like really impressive to me. And yeah, I don't think there's like that many people who are able to do that and like play just like so differently.
Very quickly before we move on, I just want to highlight a name that's number 3 right now. That's Gangley. And Weijin, I wanted to ask you because you got to, obviously you competed in the last set championship. One of the things that was brand new is that you all competed in Dallas, I think it was, somewhere in Texas. Dallas, yeah. And you had a bunch of the Americas players all together. You were sitting with Gangley and Robin on the final day. I don't know how much you actually studied with him, how much you learned about him, but I'm just kind of curious because obviously you've been kind of exposed to him in a different way than a lot of the other North American competitors or the Americas competitors. What are your thoughts on Gangley?
Yeah, I think he's amazing. I think in Dallas, I could really tell like just how seriously he takes competitive TFT. Like, he takes it so seriously. Like he was really like looking to VOD review and like not just himself, like everyone. And he was like putting so much effort in for Worlds. And I could also tell like it wasn't just like Worlds. Like I could tell that it was something that he was like very used to doing and does all the time. So I feel that like he definitely puts in some of the most effort out of the entire field, and I could like definitely tell that in Dallas.
I love it. He is just continuing to show up and be an absolute beast in every tournament he touches now. We had talked about on our preview show where like at one point Gangley is going to win a tournament and he's not going to stop winning, kind of like Dish Soap did for a while. And he was so close in the last TPC as well. So a great showing by him. But let's look forward a little bit to see what is coming up for the competitive roadmap. This weekend is, if you are a TFT fan, this is the best weekend to watch TFT because you got your Americas versus EMEA clash that's happening all day. From 10 a.m. EST all the way into the evening, there's going to be great TFT happening, so you're not going to want to miss that. But then looking forward, there's only 2 weeks between the Pro Circuit events this time, and then Regionals is right on the other side. Are you guys ready for the little bit of the gauntlet that's coming up?
Really praying I make it to week 2 of Regionals, give myself like another
Me too.
a week. Yeah. But I'm excited for sure.
Wait, there's no other way for you guys to qualify the second week apart from qualifier points, right? There's no ladder portion of it that qualifies you in.
Yeah,
It's all pro points from the first 3 cups. Yeah,
And only the Pro Circuit players can make week 2 automatically.
Okay, yeah.
Just 12 of them, because if you make week 2, you make the next TPC as well. And so top 12 is, I mean, that's everyone's goal, right?
Yeah.
We look at this graphic every week, and I still cannot remember it. There is so much going on. I think as time goes on, we'll all get more used to the format, but obviously there's just so much to take in now.
Yeah, there's 68 players that make it to regionals. So over double what it had been previously, which is incredibly exciting because so many players in a 2-week format. It's just way more games to be able to be played. And also the hype of week 1 is your fight to make it to TPC, and week 2 is your fight to make it to the Tactician's Crown, which is, I think, is just going to be so fun. So I'm really excited about it. And then obviously happening as well in between there is that Tacticians Trials 2 that Gangley is going to win, and then he's going to have to play in that next one, Tacticians Cup, October 10th to 12th. So do you have that blocked out in your calendar, Nick?
I did. So, okay, here's the thing. Normally, I cannot afford to give up weekends to play TFT, which is why I'm really excited to try. I looked at the calendar. It's actually the 4th is the day after my son's birthday, but we're not doing his birthday party till the 11th, which is the Cup. No, it's fine. It's fine because it'll be fine. Anyway, it's gonna be a ton of fun. The trials is going to afford opportunities to a ton of new players who want to get into competitive TFT. And like I said, like I'm not completely sold on like the qualification method. Trying to get in the top 28 at the end of a single day with what I imagine is going to be hundreds and hundreds of competitors is going to be pretty brutal. But it's going to be a ton of fun. I'm hoping to see a lot of tri-state TFT out there in full force. I don't know how many of us are going to be there, but I know we have a ton of players who are not in TPC that are going to be looking to, take a swing at Tacticians Cup. So really excited to see how many of tri-state make a showing in trials. I would say I'm registered right now. I'm like 80% going to do it. I might have to do like the latest one because I might just like put my kids to bed and then instantly try and snag the last tournament slot. But we'll see how it goes. I'm very, very excited to see it. And then obviously, I'm more excited for the rest of the TPC stuff that's coming up for the next couple months.
So if you want to play against Gangley in tournament, queue up at the latest one, and then you can play a normal game of TFT for sure. Don't scout him specifically. That is griefing. Obviously, we're looking forward specifically to the Soul Fighter Cup this weekend. Both of you guys are playing in it. Filup, what do you have to say to all your fans, your raving fans? And do you have any shout-outs that you'd like to give before we wrap up the show?
We're gonna win this one. Take away the slot from EMEA. I think the shout out mostly just goes to my study group, Wasian, everyone else. Again, outside of TFT, just great friends. Make all of my days better. Couldn't do it without them.
And Wasian, same for you.
Yeah, also shout out to my study group. Hopefully we'll be VOD reviewing a lot this weekend because that means we all made the next day. I was trying to take this slot for EMEA.
Well, thank you guys for coming on. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you guys be the first players on the Rolldown. It's been just fun to hear the inside scoop of what it looks like to be in a study group, to prepare for tournaments, and help Gangley be able to prepare as best he can for Tacticians Trials. If you guys haven't yet, please follow, subscribe, share the Rolldown. If you're a fan of TFT Esports, we want you to be a fan of this podcast. So go ahead and do that. Again, thank you guys for coming on, and we'll see you guys next time.